All right, you know what that music means. It's time for me to stroll over to the other side of the expansive Studio 9 to hang out with my friend Steven Caldwell, our TSN Soccer analyst, Scottish international, wonderful person. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Jay. How are you?
Great to see you. I'm great.
Thanks for having me.
I'm better than Whitecaps supporters at this time. That's a tough one. You know, the odds were stacked against Vancouver. They're playing at altitude. They're in the midst of a busy part of their season. They don't have Berhalter. They don't have Ryan Gold.
Yeah.
And yet, I was giving them a lot of excuses there. It's a championship final. You feel like they should have had a bit more.
I do, and I expected them to be way more competitive than they actually were, which is disappointing because they've had such a great start to the season and such a great campaign through this run, beating 2 Mexican sides and, of course, Inter Miami to get here. But they started this game so flat. I thought they looked nervous, they looked edgy, and they had this weird blend where you're sort of edgy, but then you're lethargic. It's a strange thing. So when they were playing these little passes, they were getting picked off, and we see these goals here. I just have such a bad feeling about this game. They weren't themselves. Kubas had a terrible night. He's been probably their best player all season. Yeah, nobody, swathed themselves in glory. It was one of the nights where everything that could have went wrong, and unfortunately it's an embarrassing defeat.
How far away, in your opinion, are we from seeing a Canadian MLS club actually win this tournament?
What a question. I mean, we've had 3 finals, haven't we? We've had Toronto, Montreal and Vancouver getting to the final. But when you look at the state of our teams, this is our best Canadian team by a stretch, the Vancouver Whitecaps, and they've been embarrassed tonight. So I think we're a good bit away. Toronto and Montreal are a good bit away from being competitive in MLS. So to think that they can come into Champions Cup and go through 3 or 4 difficult ties and win this title, because you have to go into Mexico, you have to win important games, you have to beat the best in their own backyard, and it's such a difficult thing to do that your squad needs to be, 15, 18 players deep. You see the subs these guys bring on, you see the strength that they have.
Does it say more about League MX and MLS than it does about specific teams?
I think so, because League MX is 4 times the value. The squad costs 4 times what the Whitecaps squad costs because of salary cap and the way the MLS works. So, of course, they've got better players. Of course, they've got bigger depth. So the question is, can a team go through a campaign like this and have their 4, 5, 6 guys play extremely well every single game? Missing Ryan Gold tonight, their captain. He's been missing for a few months. When you're missing vital players at this stage, it means so much, and we saw that tonight. Somebody like Gold would have went in there, settled things down, got on the ball, calmed everybody. He's a leader, and he's a man who takes the ball and performs when he needs to. And so I think he was a big loss tonight. And unfortunately, Veselinovic and Blackman and Kubas and Vite, who have been so consistent this season, just weren't themselves.
You mentioned it earlier. Vancouver's had a terrific MLS campaign, by far the best Canadian team right now. How do you avoid a letdown now as the season continues after what happened on Sunday?
I think it's a real risk. I think that the Whitecaps have dropped off a little bit in recent weeks, and so the shock of this result and the drop in confidence that this will probably bring might mean that there's a drop off in MLS. So they have to come together. They have to be strong. They have to make sure that they commit again as a team in terms of the spirit that they've had. I think that's been very important to their success. Jesper Sorensen has been outstanding as well, and he's going to have to regroup, lick his wounds a little bit. And I think ultimately you've got to just put this one behind you and say, we weren't at our best, we were in Mexico City, we're playing at altitude, we're playing against Cruz Azul. I think they won it for the 6th or 7th time, the Champions Cup. Everything was against us. We had a bad game. Now back to what we know best, back to playing in Vancouver, back to playing on the road, and back to the style that has brought us success so far this season. I really hope that they get back on track, because they've been a joy to watch, and they're easily the best Canadian team, and they're on course for an excellent season, but they have to get over this very quickly. Well,
the good news is they'll have a lot of support for their next league game. That'll be at home next Sunday against the Seattle Sounders. Steven Caldwell, thanks for this. Jay.